Welcome to the Hatchery Ask Show, where you ask questions and we answer them. To submit your question for next week's show, just click on the link in the description box below and let's dive right into your question.
Always come when I need you. You know I'll be there for you. Where are you now? Where are you now?
Our first question comes from Jenna Larson, and she says that she helps clients create a process for managing contacts from prospects to customers and inactive customers, all the way to becoming business builders themselves. So she works mainly with network marketers. You can follow Jenna over on Facebook by searching for Drive Performance Coaching. So Jenna asks, I'm going to read this question here. One thing many of my clients struggle with the most is how to find more people to prospect to and how to interact with them in a way that builds engagement and trust. What tips can you share with my clients on this topic? All right, so first I'm going to head on over to Facebook to talk about where do you find the prospects? Prospects are everywhere. So I'm willing to bet, Jenna, that any one of your clients has a whole bunch of friends in their friends list that they barely talk to. So even in my friends list, I've got 1,669 friends. I probably don't know that many people, but actually I think I do actually know pretty much everyone on my friends list, but do I talk to them all? No, definitely not. So I think that's always a good place to start, is just trolling through your own friends list and kind of going through there and thinking not just about who might be a potential customer, but also who might be able to connect you with other potential customers as well. So that's really, really important. Now, other places that you can search is, let's just say that we have a client who is, I'm trying to think of a network marketing company. I've got doTERRA sitting right here in front of me. So we'll go with doTERRA, right? So let's just say that we want to find more people who might be interested in doTERRA. So I need to think about, if they were to be interested in doTERRA essential oils, what are some of the other things that they might also be interested in, right? So they might be interested in living a healthy lifestyle. So I might look for, I might go over to Google and I might search for healthy lifestyle blogs, right? And so from there, I would go, okay, this is great right here, best healthy living blogs of 2018. And so I take a look at some of these blogs. So we've got Happy Healthy Life. So there we go. We can click it right over to here. And then usually there is some sort of Facebook. There we go, right here. And what we can do is we can take a look here for, we can actually see who of our friends like this page. So I have 12 friends in total who like this particular page. And what I would do is I would look through and I would say, okay, so these people are probably the people that I want to connect with first in my friends list if I were selling doTERRA, right? Because we already know that they're interested in living a happy, healthy life. We don't know for sure whether or not they are using doTERRA essential oils, but we could certainly go over to, let's say, the doTERRA page. We could see if they liked that, and that would give us a pretty good indication. And so I would go through and I would form a list, and I would look to form a list of about 100 people. On that list of 100 people, we want people who are not just people that you think might buy, but also the people that you think might be able to connect you in with the people who might buy. So for example, if you have somebody on your list who is a personal trainer or a naturopath or a chiropractor or anything like that, I would add them to the list as well. Now, from there, what we would do is create some sort of keep in touch or networking plan. Now, most people, when they hear of networking, they get really freaked out and kind of balled up, and they think like, oh, I don't know, that just sounds really yucky to me. But keep in mind here, this is going to be really super simple, and a lot of these people are people that you already know. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to look at a few different categories I'm going to look at 4 different categories through which we can connect with people. So we have a list of 100 people that we've made up by going through our friends list and going through maybe adding some other friends who are in groups with us and things like that. And so we've gone through and we have this list of 100 people. Now, what do we do with this 100 people? So what we're going to do is we're going to look to touch just 5 people per day, every day. That's 25 people a week. It means that you're touching everybody on this list once per month, okay? So we're going to look to touch just 5 people per day. Now, there are a few different things and a few different ways that we can reach out to these people. The first way that we can reach out to these people is by sharing, and I'm going to get into what each of these mean. The next way that you can get in and touch these people are by connecting. You can also go through giving and offering. Woo, what was that? You see that? That was crazy the way my pen went there. So offering. Okay, so here's what each of those might look like. Now, you might do a couple shares each day. So here's the numbers and how I would sort of break this down. So I would look to do probably, I'm just going to put some numbers just down here. So I would probably look to do 2 to 3 of these per day. I would look to do 1 to 2 of these per day. I would look to do 1 of these per week. And I would look to do 1 of these per day. Okay. Now, what are each of these? So a share is something around, like this is where we're going to, let's say, share an article, share a tip, share an event, but it needs to be something that that person might be interested in. So this is not, so I'm going to, this is really important. This is not our stuff, right? So we don't want to share our stuff unless it's something that they're kind of really asking about and we know it would help, okay? But this is more, let's say that they're really into leadership, or let's just say that they've taken a road trip and you saw from their post that day that they were taking a road trip and they were in this certain location. Maybe you could share an article with 10 things that they must do in that particular location. I think if I were traveling, I would find that really helpful. Sometimes we go without a plan and then we're there and we're like, what should we do? What do we need to make sure that we check out? And so it can be really helpful, you know, if you were to share something like that with them. So that would be an example of sharing. It's just giving an article. So it's something that would be of value to that particular person, not necessarily something that ties into your stuff. But what's going to happen is they're going to start to see you as a resource and they're going to attribute the value from that article back to you. The next step, connecting, this is just an introduction to someone else on your list. So you have 100 people that you can then, each person on your 100% list, you could introduce to 100 other people, or I guess 99 other people on that particular list. So you have thousands upon thousands and even tens of thousands of connections that can be made just within that list of people. So let's just say you saw that somebody on your list is maybe their kid was going through something and you had somebody else on your list who happened to help children with that particular thing. You can make that introduction and that would be really valuable to the people on your list. Okay, giving, this is going to be a some sort of gift. So it can be a gift, it can be a book, it can be a resource that is yours. So some people have actually written books as well. So sometimes I recommend to send out your book, like a signed copy of your book, whatever that is. So we send them physically something in the mail. We do 1 of these per week. If budget is low, you can also do one of those per month if you would like. We like doing a one per week so that we're hitting people with a gift every couple of years or so. And then offering, this is where you're going to offer your stuff. So typically what I would do in this case is, if it makes sense to make an offer to somebody based on the conversation that you've been having, just inviting them into a sales conversation and just saying to them, what I typically would do is book an appointment, and inside of that appointment, we can do a complimentary session where we're going to go over your we'll keep it the doTERRA example, where we would go over some of your health goals, and I can share some recipes with you that will help you with those particular goals. And if at the end of that call you would like some help in purchasing, then that's okay. And if not, that's totally okay too. So our next question comes from Franziska Newman, and Franziska is a creative team. They work with interior designers, and they are like a fixer-upper for your online brand. So you can follow Franziska on Instagram. It is FZK_Franziska. We will plop that right in the in a box here down below so that you can see the spelling on that, and head on over and follow Franziska. So Franziska asks, do you have any tips on how to ease somebody into actively marketing when they have the objection of being too salesy? So specifically, Franziska says she works with a lot of interior designers, and their businesses are very referral based. I used to actually be an interior designer, so I know all about that. As she helps them conquer the online space, they tend to be very insistent that they don't want to come across as salesy on their websites. Now, she thinks it's in large part due to the fact that they are not used to converting clients from an online experience. So she's looking at some of those tips to help ease somebody into actively marketing themselves when they have this objection of being too salesy. So Franziska, we deal with this all the time being a sales training company, and I can certainly understand how the interior design business works because that's what I used to do. And, it is... a lot of this is going to come down to the way that you are positioning this with your particular clients. If we're positioning it that the marketing is here to get you more sales, that certainly may be something that they want, but it sounds like what they really want is to be able to make more impact and to help more people. And so when we are going about, kind of writing out the copy and working with them on the design of their website, one thing that we really want to position is how can we make it about them and how can we make it less about you? And certainly this is something that I know you are probably already doing inherently because that's how good marketing works, right? It's all about the person in front of you versus about you and selling how great you are or anything like that. Most interior designers put up a lot of things that are actually far more salesy than I'm willing to bet the websites that you're building are trying to be, because they're trying to showcase their portfolio and make it all about how great they are and how amazing they are at designing, instead of making it all about the customer and the experience that customer would like to feel and actually helping that particular customer. So the positioning is going to be the very first thing. And I always kind of like to steal from a page in Zig Ziglar's book. And in one of his books, he actually talked about just doing this exercise with somebody to say, think about a client that you helped 12 months ago. And would you say that person is still benefiting from the new room that they have? Are they still enjoying that room today? Right? But so the answer for most people is going to be yes, of course. People, when they hire an interior designer, they don't, use a room only for a couple weeks and then just not enjoy it anymore. They're probably still enjoying that room today. But then I would ask them, okay, so do you still have the money that client paid you 12 months ago? And the answer for most people on that is going to be no, they don't. It went to bills, it went to buying a new car or whatever it is however it is they choose to spend their money. So they actually don't have that money that they received from that job. So it is the client who is the biggest winner in that transaction. And oftentimes when people are afraid of being salesy, it's because they feel that they are asking for something and that they are the winners in that transaction. And so it's really, really important for us to have those conversations with our clients to say, you know what, this isn't about you getting money. This is about you helping more clients. Okay. And so when you actually come to the table and you're positioning it as that with your clients, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable inside of the entire experience. And they are going to look at your work with a different lens. And you can help them through that in the positioning when you're bringing those reviews of the website to the table, when you're bringing the copy and the layouts and things like that to the table for their review, to say, you know, okay, so let's look at this from a customer perspective, right? And I want this beautiful room. So I want you to sell me, right? I'll share with you an experience that we had in buying a car recently. So we recently bought a vehicle, but we almost didn't even buy one. We had a couple of older vehicles. With Kyle coming home, we really didn't need two anymore. The one was just sitting there and we were afraid that it was just going to get kind of rusted out, and you know, cars aren't meant to sit. So we wanted to take both of the vehicles and we wanted to get rid of them, and we wanted to get just one vehicle, a larger vehicle for the both of us. And so what we ended up doing we had no clue what we wanted, and it's really difficult. We've always had our own vehicles, so we just pick out what we like. Now we had to find one that we both liked and that we could both agree on. And so we ended up going from dealership to dealership to dealership to dealership, looking at their mid to large SUVs. And we drove, just probably a dozen vehicles. And every single one, right? What we were doing was we left overwhelmed. We left not getting any closer to a decision. We wanted to get a vehicle, but we just couldn't because the salespeople were all afraid to sell us. And in fact, a few of them even said, I'm not a good salesperson. I'm not here to sell you. All we wanted was to be sold. Quite honestly, all we wanted was to be sold that vehicle. And we left and we took all of the papers with all of the different features and looked at all the different prices. And we were trying to figure out which one was the best value and the best buy. And nobody had actually talked to us about the things that were best for us as a consumer. What were the things that were important to us? And so we had all of these different feature sheets that all looked the same. The price was in, probably $1,000 for all of these different vehicles. And it wasn't until we walked into the final dealership, it's a Volkswagen dealership, and our lovely sales guy there, he took us out. He actually explained things that were important to us. He was not just reading off a feature sheet. He took us out. He asked us how we'd be using the vehicle. He asked us what kind of driving experience we were looking for. We ended up purchasing that SUV, and we never looked back. We wanted to be sold to, but everyone was making it so hard that we were incredibly frustrated. So until somebody actually took us by the hand and sold to us, not in a high pressure way at all. In fact, my husband really wanted to think it over. I think we were both overwhelmed. We ended up thinking over it over the weekend, and he was totally okay with that. He didn't try to push us to sign that same day. He just, said, no problem, call me on Monday. And so it was a very low pressure way, but he still sold us on it. So people want to be sold to, and it's really important for us as the leaders of our clients when we are marketers or we are sales trainers to explain to people why it's so important for them to step into a way of selling in a very loving way. When people are afraid of being salesy, they're afraid of being pushy. You don't have to be pushy in order to make sales. And in fact, people really want to. So really take a look at your own positioning, Francisca, and I am willing to bet that you'll be right on your way with those clients. So our last question comes from Heather Lynn Rose. And Heather Lynn works with SaaS startups who are ready to grow up their business in a socially responsible way. You can follow her over on Twitter and Instagram. The handles are the same, at Pixels for Humans. I love your handle. So good. Now, Heather asks, if a prospect goes quiet, How often do you follow up or check in with them before taking it as a soft no? So Heather, the answer to this is to not fall into what I like to call follow-up hell to begin with, if possible. So we actually do a free training on this. It's at heatherpuskanski.com/closing. It's about I'd say about a 40-minute training that is going to walk you through how to close a sale in 5 steps on the first call so that you don't enter into this follow-up thing. However, if you do happen to enter into a follow-up discussion, it is your job to really lead that discussion and to make sure that you're leading them to 100% yes or to a 100% no, instead of just following up and being like, have you made a decision yet? Have you made a decision yet? Have you made a decision yet? Or what questions do you have? Or whatever else it is. So if you come across a client who is unresponsive, typically what we want to do is when we are phoning them and leaving a message, and I always recommend doing this via the phone, not via email, because emails end up in spam land, they end up unread, and that client will not feel taken care of. I was just speaking about our car buying experience in the very last question, and one thing that happened with us is I was going through my spam folder just the other day. I had emails that were a few weeks old in there from people who were following up with me. I didn't even know that they were there because they ended up in spam. And so it would have been far better if they had just called me and let me know, hey, I'm here to answer your questions. And I could have told them, I'm really confused. I don't know what to do. Please help me choose a vehicle, right? That would have been so helpful to me. Instead, I was left in a lot of anxiety and trying to figure out what was the best purchase for us when all the while they had follow up with me via email and I didn't even know it was there. So if you don't have their phone number, you can click on the little phone icon in Facebook Messenger and that rings through most people's phones. So as we're leaving a message, I'm assuming that we're leaving a message because they have kind of ghosted on us. What I will typically do is say, hey, it's Heather. I'm just following up with you as you had asked. Wanted to see if there are any other questions that you need answered. And my job here is not to get you to say yes, but really just to help you get to a yes or a no decision. So if I don't hear back from you today, I will give you a call back on Thursday around the noon hour, and hopefully we can connect then. Let me know either way. Bye for now. Okay? So what we're doing there is we are setting up a few different things. Number one, we're letting them know that we're not here to pressure them into buying anything. It's just our job really to collect that information so that we're not in this weird follow-up cycle, right? The next thing that we're doing is that we're letting them know and we're leading that discussion to say, if I don't hear back from you, here is exactly when you can expect to hear from me, so that they can be watching for that phone call. They know that it's coming and they can be prepared and feel like it's not something that's unexpected. Because sometimes we don't like to answer the phone if we're just not in that headspace to do so, right? And so if we know that a phone call is coming and if we know that it's somewhat scheduled, then we can be more prepared for it and they're much more likely to pick up. And then the last thing that we did is we said, let me know either way. So we're giving a bit of a call to action for them to get back to us. Now, if they don't answer the phone the second time, I do the exact same thing as we do the first time. Hey, I promised to give you a phone call back. Here it is Thursday around noon. And I'm just calling to follow up because you had asked me to follow up. So it is my job to do so. And I want to make sure that I honor that commitment to you. So what I need you to do is just to give me a call back. No pressure. I really want you to be comfortable in it. And I want to be here to support you and answer any questions or any fears or doubts that you may be experiencing. So if I don't hear back from you, I will give you another call back next Wednesday, let's say at 2 p.m. And hopefully I hear from you by then. Let me know either way. Bye for now. So we kind of follow the same steps, maybe use a little bit of different language. Now on that third call, we don't want to continue to call them and sort of stalk them. So usually on that third call, I will just say to them, if I don't hear back from you, if you would like for me to continue to follow up with you, I need you to let me know. Okay, so if you'd like me to continue to follow up with you because maybe you need more time to make the decision, that's totally cool. Just let me know. If I don't hear back from you, however, I am going to stop following up with you just because, right now I haven't gotten much response. So I'm not sure if this is really something that you want, and that's totally cool. So a lot of times I might even say in that point in time, I might just say, I'm going to assume that this is not for you because you haven't gotten back to me. And sometimes that will also spark a call to action, and people will come back to me and say, well, actually, I just need a little bit more time, or I need to speak to my business partner and they've been away, and so I haven't been able to get you an answer, right? And sometimes that will spark it. So me just saying something like, hey, I'm not really sure that this is the right thing for you, and that's totally cool. So I'm going to stop following up unless I hear from you. I'm going to place that sort of burden back on you so that if you would like to follow up with me in the future, this is my contact information, and I would love to hear from you at any time, no matter what. Okay, so give them that information to be able to follow back up with you. And I have had people who sometimes a year or even 2 years later do come back and they're like, yeah, okay, now I'm ready. And there was just something they had to work through. A lot of times it's a mindset thing, or it's a personal crisis, or something that they weren't comfortable talking about. And they had to work through that thing first, and then they end up coming back to you because we set that expectation that, when you're ready, I would love for you to come back to me. Here's how you can do so, and here's what that process will look like. So hopefully this was helpful, Heather, and thank you so much for your question. So that's all the questions that we have for today. If you would like to submit your question and have the chance to be featured on the Hatchery Ask Show, just use the form in the description box below to fill out your request. Tell us a little bit about what you do. Give us your social media handles so that we can shout them out so that our followers can follow you, and let us know what questions and how we can help you in achieving more sales and better leads. Bye for now.
Always come when I need you.